Today we're going to kind of define what um, how we navigate physical health in a more linear way. Uh, and to do this, we have to give it a contrast because physical health is kind of a newer way of seeing things, especially from the self care perspective. We want to give something that is a little bit more familiar so you have an idea of kind of where it fits in. To do this, we're going to use the two different terms, uh, one being exercise prescription and the other being action prescription. One being more based on the physicality of the body, the other being based on the physical parts of a person's growth, if you want to call it something. So, in exercise prescription, we generally have uh, a suitable exercise. We pick this exercise because it's going to help us through um, a challenge and essentially help us progress towards a goal. This prescription will change as we become closer to the goal, as things become more specific to that task. They will get more focused on the end outcome. It'll always start off general and move to being more specific. Start off a little bit easier and then increase in resistance and functionality. Now, that being said, this is exercise prescription. This is based on injury or performance. Now let's take a look at the action prescription. So this is mainly based on lifestyle changes. It is a little bit more versatile than exercise only. We're thinking now the person as they interact with their environment, either internally and externally, and we have now something that has the ability to move by that. When we say action, and action can be anything, the idea is the purpose behind the action is the kind of prescription itself. So I can give somebody, for example, an experience, maybe let's say tap dancing. This has a few moving elements in it. However, the purpose of this tap dancing may be to increase coordination and rhythm, as opposed to agility ladder drills, which also do the same thing, but in a different ability. There's a little bit more happening with this experience for the physical health of the person. We also have emotional health in there, and we have mental health as well, and it's a little bit more suited for everyday life. Now, that being said, it also has the ability to impact the person, yes, but also their environment externally, so their connections, their bonds. As this person starts to go through this process of physical health and this action prescription, then we will start to see a kind of growth of that person. Where in exercise prescription, we see the growth of the muscle, we're now looking for the growth of the individual. In this way, we're going to try to not necessarily increase the resistance in the exercise like you would in exercise prescription, but decrease the resistance to an action. This is going to be more what we're looking for. We're going to see that instead of us making the person go through the task, essentially saying, this is what's in front of you, go through it, we're going to say, hey, this is the challenge. How do you feel like taking it on? And the person might originally be like, no, you know what? I find this way more comfortable. But we want to reach a point where you put the same thing in front of the person and they're like, yeah, I could do that. It might be tough, but I think I have what it takes to do that thing. And therefore, we have a more organic way of improvement. And you can see this is more self-motivated, more self-actualized. Although we are looking to support the individual in each environment, we're not looking to diminish the challenge at all. We're looking to make the person rise to the occasion. This way, reducing the stress, increasing the person's feeling of capability or capacity to overcome that thing. And therefore, we move forward in that direction. Another unique trait of action prescription is that it focuses on the person's ability to experience new things in a way of creating new, let's say, mental connections, emotional connections, and physical connections to maybe seemingly routine environment. So every day I can wake up and I can have the same general thoughts about everything else. So I'll see everything else in the same light. This is kind of, let's say, the base. And we do need to know what that's like so we can know what change is. But when we take a look at this action prescription, we want to see now, instead of going through my routine that I do every day, I might add new things. I might add maybe it is an exercise routine in the morning. Maybe it will be some creative activity in the afternoon. Maybe it will be a reflective thing at the end of the day. All we know is that the person will start to feel more capable of taking on daily tasks and new challenges and push themselves to reach higher challenges. And in that way, we have the release of the potential of the individual. This process is one that evolves with the person, so there's no seemingly specific prescription to make. How we navigate this challenge is just knowing what the kind of limiting patterns are originally, and then we add support to those. We first disrupt those patterns, then we add support to those patterns, then new connections are formed, and then we're looking for new actions to be taken on. We're not very much focused on what those new actions are. They don't have to be the best of the best new actions, but we're looking for growth in the way of changing old actions. And once that's done, then we can move to the next step of, let's say, reevaluating how beneficial those new actions are to what our end goal is. And then we have a nice refinement of things. So this is the difference between action prescription and exercise prescription. It is mainly on their purposes, one to do with the physical body, one to do with the individual as a whole, one to do with the growth of the individual, one to do with the growth of the muscles, one to do with the personal self, my own exercises, my own routine, the other to do with the unfolding of self. So my own actions, my own routine, but to improve my external environment, my internal environment, which will then increase the quality of my relationships, friendships, bonds, and achievements. Those would be the highlights if the definition previous was a little bit tricky. Thank you very much for listening, and hopefully this gives you a little bit more of a contrast to what physical health is about versus, let's say, fitness as we know it. Thank you.